Hey, so what's going on? Welcome back to the video, and in today's video it will be an initial analysis of the upcoming February 2023 BTO sites. So we are looking at around 4,000 plus units up for grabs. So based on the map provided, we can safely estimate that there will be at least 2 sites that will fall under PLH model, and if you want to know which 2 will be my pick, stay tuned to this video to find out. So the first development that we'll deep dive into will be the Jurong West development that's located right on the outskirts of Pioneer MRT station. So for this development, we are looking at 270 units between 3 and 4 room flats. So it's located on the far west of Singapore, right outside Pioneer MRT station. As a place of residence, I think that being in this location will have its own particular charm. So being so far out, usually it tends to be quiet, and I will assume that if your workplace is near the CBD area or in the central region, this development would not be in your immediate consideration at all. So if you are looking at somewhere nearer to the central region, then just skip this part and go on to the next few. However, if you are looking at a place where you can really call home, where you can redesign your own space, renovate the whole area to suit your own needs, to become a very functional work from home area, I think that this development definitely have what it takes to fit your requirements in this case. If you prefer to have a quieter environment, retaining all the amenities that is needed, such as food and transportation, I think this is definitely one of the ideal place to look at, because you definitely can renovate your house to suit your different needs, to make do with a very classy home office. You can see some of the videos that Stack Homes have covered where they redesign some of the old HDBs into a bat cave even, and definitely those renovations will help your unit increase in its valuation on top of its existing one, and it's definitely some of the pointers that you can take into consideration for this case. So being out in the west of Singapore, it definitely will invite the thought of this place being a very ulu and out of reach, a place that people wouldn't want to go to. And I can't really deny it, because Pioneer MRT is really far out in the west of Singapore, but I think more importantly, we need to look beyond that. There's upcoming developments in that whole area, whereby we have the Jurong Innovation District. Many investors are flocking to Singapore to grab a foothold here, and in terms of an investment point of view, I believe that you can definitely receive healthy volumes of rental from expats as well as students from NTU. NTU is right at the corner, and if subsequently you are looking to rent out your rooms or even the entire unit, this would definitely be one of the hotspots where you are able to easily find student tenants, which definitely I have some experience with as well serving them. The turnover is fast, and you can definitely find students looking to rent a room in this area. So second on the list is the Kallang Whampoa site. So for this, it's the one that lies far out nearer to Toa Payoh instead, right beside the PIE. In terms of convenience wise, I think that it is a little bit harder to reach as compared to the other developments by public transport. However, you can definitely cross the bridge of the PIE to the other side to Toa Payoh, and you can easily take a bus or even walk to the train station. I don't think that this development will fall under the PLH model. I could be wrong as well, because HDB has their own way of determining what falls under PLH and what doesn't. A personal opinion is I really don't think that this would fall under the PLH model, because its location is not exactly the most convenient one. If you look at the history of the PLH models, such as Ulu Pandan Banks and Gimo Natura in the November 2022 BTO launch. Although that being said, there are actually quite a few malls and amenities on further analysis right at the neighborhood. You have Balestier Mall as well as Shaw Plaza. I think it definitely can be a potential area if you have parents staying nearby in the vicinity, such as in areas up north at Toa Payoh or down south at Balestier. So there is a second site at Kallang Whampoa region, which this would definitely fall under the PLH model. Looking at the location, it is located right outside Little India MRT station. I definitely think that there's no doubt to it, it will fall under the PLH model. And in my previous video of the November 2022 BTO launch, some of you comment that there isn't any 2-room flexi flats in the Kallang area. Well, here you go, because in this site there's the 2-room flexi, 3-room and 4-room flats. So it's definitely something that you can look out for if you're considering to BTO in this region. So I sure hope that HDB go according to plan, and you will definitely be able to ballot for these units in this area. So there are several amenities in this area, which I think I don't really need to explain as much, because being in such a convenient location, you can access all the food as well as the facilities right at your doorstep. And I would expect that the HDB here would be built up to a very high level. In fact, I believe it might go up to 40 stories in height, similar to King George Height, which was released back in February 2022. There are plenty of healthy private developments in this neighborhood, such as Piccadilly Grand. But that being said, being under the PLH model, you'll experience limitations when it comes to your exit plan further down the line, if you require further planning and advice. So just drop drop a comment, or you can also reach out to me to find out how you can properly plan your property strategy for at least the next 20 years. And definitely not just me, you can also reach out to people who you trust, because personally I think that it is really important for you to find someone that you trust with your property journey, because it is important to make the right moves at the right time. And if you have the right person advising you and guiding you along the way, you will not lose out in this property journey for sure, or at least you won't have any regrets in the future. So the next one will be the Queenstown BTO site. Similar to Ulu Pandan Bank, launched back in November 2022. It is right outside Singapore Poly, directly beside Ulu Pandan Bank's development. So this is definitely one of the ones that will fall under the PLH model. And if you didn't manage to get your balloting ticket or your queue number in the November 2022 launch, you can definitely consider applying once again for this round. And I think that since it is right beside Ulu Pandan Banks, you would definitely expect it to have very similar development in terms of the height wise, as well as the structure of the building, the stacks. It will be relatively similar to the one from Ulu Pandan Banks, so that's definitely one of it that you can use to reference and guide yourself in terms of what you're looking at and what you're expecting when you BTO into this area. So you can definitely look to have a sensing of how the stacks are arranged, as well as how the building is like, to get a sensing whether or not this development is a good fit for you. So as mentioned previously, this will be the second site that I believe will fall under the PLH model. And if this doesn't fall into the PLH model, it's going to be very crazy, because those people who applied for Ulu Pandan Banks will definitely be complaining like, why is their site under the PLH model and the one directly beside isn't? So it will definitely create an uproar. That's why I believe that this will for sure be under the PLH model. But of course, that's my own personal opinion. I could be wrong. We'll only know when the time comes, come February 2023. And lastly, for the last site in this launch in February 2023 is the one at Tengah. So this development is located very near to Brickland Road, which is out of the way of the usual Tengah launches, where where most of them are nearer to the Jurong East area. So this ends up being very near to Choa Chu Kang and Keat Hong. In terms of convenience to the train station, I think that this isn't really there at all, but this could also hint that the entry price of this area would be lower than the ones that you see from the previous Tengah launches. In terms of suitability wise, I believe that this will be targeted towards families that are not really looking to upgrade subsequently, or if you have parents staying in Choa Chu Kang or Bukit Panjang or even Bukit Batok. This stretch is facing the big road, and it can get quite noisy at times, especially with a lot of traffic coming from the highway as well as Bukit Batok driving center. I would say this development will receive relatively lesser competition as compared to the other 4 right in this launch. So that's the analysis for the 5 different sites. To wrap up in terms of a summary, it appears that HDB will be releasing a mixture of PLH and non-PLH developments in subsequent BTO launches. And the direction appears as though if your development site is near or directly beside an MRT station, and if it's in an established estate, I'm not using the word mature but established, I think this would highly indicate that that site would fall under the PLH model. So this is a ton of opportunity for people who are staying in existing flats, or if your BTO falls under similar concept whereby you are directly near the MRT but you're not under the PLH model. That means you get to experience the convenience and higher valuation without going through the limitations that is set because of the PLH model. So do click on the pop-up to see more about the PLH model, to understand more about it and what are some of the things that you should take note of and whatever concerns that you might have about it. So if you have learned something from this video, I highly appreciate if you could drop this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want to find out more about property related information and to keep yourself updated with the latest property development in Singapore. So do comment down below if you have any other questions about this BTO launch or any other property related inquiries. Definitely happy to help. And thanks for watching, stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.